Hi, Richard.
Hi there, Timothy. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
Very well indeed, thank you. Very well.
All right. So, um, as most people have figured out, this podcast will be in English, which is the first time, to be honest. And I'm glad you accepted because I was asking you for like a few months, but we took time to choose a topic to talk about, and well, we'll see if just we just talk about this topic or if we go to other stuff or so. But I'm glad
Yeah,
you're
that's right.
here.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here. Yes. Wherever we are, we're in cyberspace somewhere, I imagine.
So, do you wanna introduce the topic?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about modern society in the way that it is influenced very heavily by IT, internet, online banking, online shopping, Amazon, all that type of stuff. Bearing in mind that there are many people, mainly the elderly generation, but also people who do not have access to a computer, who are being more and more excluded from mainstream society because they don't have access to basically what is now commonplace in society. If you want to buy food, you do it online, it's delivered to you. You want to buy clothes, you go to Amazon. If you want to buy or book a holiday, you do it online. You look at the stuff on the internet and you book it all there. If you don't have access to the internet or you are frightened of um, fraud, security by putting your credit card details online, then you can't do anything because if you try, whether it's the same in France as in the UK, if you actually want to speak to a person in a company, whether it's a supermarket or the gas company or the electricity, it takes you sometimes hours to get through. You go through the process of you have 10 options and then you phone and then you press option one. You have another. And by the time you get through to someone, you actually forget what they try their best not to make you or not to make a representative of that company talk to a person. They want you to do everything online. If you speak to somebody, you try and phone somebody. Good example is British Gas. Very good example. They're the big gas supplier, obviously in the UK. And the first thing they will say is that most of the time, thank you for phoning British Gas. Most of the time, you can answer your query by looking at our website under the frequently asked questions on the website. But if you don't have a website or you don't have an internet, how can you do that? And then you wait for hours to get through to somebody because you have to speak to somebody, but they try their best to not um, allow or enable someone to speak to a representative. It's becoming crazy. I have a friend, and I know I've told you about him. Um, he is actually getting better now, and they found the cancer is actually benign, which is great. So he's going to be okay. But he is 77 in December. He does have an iPad. He doesn't have a smartphone. He doesn't have a computer. He doesn't have online banking. He doesn't do any online shopping. So when he was sick, he couldn't do anything from home. All of his family and friends had to come together to help him do shopping manually because he didn't want to do online shopping, pay the gas bills. We have to pay. I used to buy stuff for him on Amazon because he couldn't walk out to the shop because he was sick. And if it wasn't, if he was on his own in, without family and friends around him, how can he survive? He can't. And it's becoming very evident that there are so many people out there, particularly the older generation, who are totally excluded now from society. And it's only getting more diverse. They are stuck in their 1940s, 1950s way of life, which was fine back then. But society is still going off at a tangent that way, but they're still here. And it's going, the difference between where they are and where society is now is getting bigger and bigger. It's very, very sad. And nobody, no company or any government seems willing to attack this particular issue. It's always to say, well, okay, well, somebody else can help them. They're not going to change, because what's the number one issue in most organizations? Expenses. So how do you reduce expenses? You reduce, the biggest expense in any company is labor. So you reduce labor. So if you reduce labor, how do you get over that issue about communication between your company and society? Well, you introduce it all online with lots of questions, and you have this occasionally, which is totally stupid in so many times. You have this, what they call a virtual client or virtual app, whatever, and you type in hello, this is Cynthia. Okay, hello. So, and then you type in your question. And of course, she can't answer you. So you just say, oh, just throw the computer out. It's a worry. I think it's a worry that a lot of people, including people my age, are no longer part of society, and they can't, and they because they can't go out, stay on holidays and book a holiday or anything like that. They're staying more and more at home and becoming more and more isolated, and it's sad to see. I'm sure it's the same in France. Although I think, from what I understand, the UK and perhaps the Netherlands as well are very much more down the road of online everything, banking, shopping, cashless, the whole thing, compared to other countries in Europe.
Yeah, but maybe some people that have access to technology and are using it are even more not excluded from society, but not really part of it, because as you see, a lot of people of my age are spending a lot of time on social medias and stuff, and they aren't really like doing stuff in society. They're spending most of their days on their phones. So that's another way to don't act in the society. You know what I
I agree
mean?
with that. I understand that, and I'll go on to that now and then come back to my theme. But you're absolutely right. Um, Particularly in the pandemic, in the lockdown, I'm sure it's the same in France. We weren't allowed to mix with other people, had our own little bubbles, but you could go out for a walk. So you go out for a walk. And last year, typically 2020, was one of the nicest summers ever for weather. So, but we couldn't go anywhere apart from just going for a walk. So anyway, I used to go out for a walk. And the number of people you see walking within their family group, because they were allowed to do that, and they're all on their phones, not with each other, just texting and stuff like that. And I'm saying, well, talk to each other. Why don't you talk to each other? How many times do you go to a restaurant, right? And you see a family there, and the parents are sitting there thinking, well, is this good or is this? And their children are all on the either texting their friends, or they're playing a game, but they're not talking to the rest of the family. You're right. I mean, family breakdown as well is another issue with IT. So you're right in that sense as well. It's over. It's become excessive for so many people. The first thing they do in the morning, what do? Turn their mobile phone on, or they may not even turn it off at all during the night. And if there's a text message comes through on WhatsApp or simple SMS, what do? They answer it straight away. I have to. A text message is coming. I have to answer it. Why? Leave it. You have a rest of your life. Nowadays, because it's we can go out and we can do whatever we want anymore, and all the restrictions are finished. I go out for walks, and I was going to say a specific gender here, but I won't. You can understand what I mean. The number of people I see out on a walk who are phoning somebody, on the phone to somebody. Why? put the phone away, because you can phone them when you get home. Look at what's around you. Look what's going on around you. Look at the birds, the animals, the trees, the weather, the sky, anything. But why do you always have to be on the phone or walking? And if someone walks towards me and they're texting on their phone and they're not looking where they go, I don't move anymore. I just stand still. And if they hit and they come towards me, eventually they will then stop. And I will say, well, I will just look at them, I'll stare at them. And I say, oh, sorry. And they'll walk around. But it's crazy. Schools in the UK actually, they've been good. They've actually now banned mobile phones in school from the moment you arrive to the moment you leave. And that's good. But you shouldn't have mobile phones in the school anyway. So yes, it has its disadvantages for the older generation and also for the younger generation. I can see where you're coming from as well.
Yeah, but what I was trying to say is that, well, in your way, technology is taking you away from society, but because you don't use it. But people that use it are not more part of society than you. You know what I mean?
I do, but yeah, as for me personally, I'm part of the Apple, whatever you call it. So anything new comes out from Apple, whether it's on the iOS updates or whatever, I check on that to see what's going on, what impact it makes. I use my iPhone 8 Plus. No, it's a bit old now. I use that when I need to. It's not my most important part of my life. It's functional. It's a functional thing. I can keep in contact with people. You text me, but I may not text you back until the following day. Or if you text me in the morning, I may not text you back until later in the day. I mean, it's not the most important part of my life. If I'm driving, I obviously turn it off. I don't even use Bluetooth because I think that's also a distraction. If I'm out for a walk, I never look at it. I have it with me in case of an emergency, but I don't look at it. It's a functional thing for me. But on the other side of it, I do everything I now do is online apart from my grocery supermarket stuff. All my clothes, holidays, flights, everything is done online. I do absolutely everything online. I hardly go to the shops at all, apart from supermarkets. So in that sense, yeah, I've totally accepted where we are with IT and the part it plays in society, but it is not. I've not let it become over excessive part of my life. It's a function. One of the functions. It's very useful, and that is it. It's no more than that. People, you look at your school children. Classic example. They are the classic example. They leave school. They've just spoken to their friends all day at school. As soon as they leave, they start texting them again. As soon as they get home, they're on like we're doing with Zoom, they're all video conferencing. That's all they do. That's all they do. They don't talk to. Where are the old days of? I hate that expression. Where are the old days of when a family sits down together round a table and has a meal and talks?
I don't know.
Where's it gone? They used to. My family used to have a tradition as we grew up of Sunday lunch. Sunday lunch was the one time of the week where all the family sat down and talked, and it was good. Mind you, back in those days, I won't tell you when it was. There was no mobile phone anyway. We only had the landline, but we talked. But other days of the week we were out. I was doing it. So I was working. My brother was working. My dad was out. Blah blah blah. So it was the one time we all got together, and it was good. And I don't see that happening that much these days. No, I think you're absolutely right. Social media has become a, a monstrosity in many, many ways, I think.
Yeah, but I'd say, well, if people want to live this way, well, just there are problems, well, or not, if they don't consider this as a problem. But I don't know if this is a serious issue, if people want to live this way, well, that's how they choose it, you know?
But they're not interacting with other people. And look at the way they now talk to people. There's no such things anymore as with between friends of emails and writing stuff. And this is what's been going on. It's chat. And how are you? And it's not how are you, it's how are, letter R,
Mm.
you, letter U. And it's becoming, even the language of texting is becoming different. And if you want to get on in business or industry or whatever you want to do, you can't go around like that. You have to sit down in a meeting and discuss things and be able to talk eloquently, fluently, in full whatever language you're speaking in, and get on with people face to face. And it's just not happening. I mean, the young people, no, I no longer work, but the young people we employed initially in my office had huge problems interrelating with other people in the office because didn't know how to do it.
Yeah, but
The art of communication seems to have gone into texting and blah 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 blah. And that is it.
well, that helps on the selection of people you take on your business. So, well, that's just faster, to choose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, well, that's their problem then. Well, I mean, doing it isn't really a problem. It's the consequences that are the problem. So, if you can get rid of the consequences, like not being able to write with full words or so, well, that's not a problem then.
It is for
You know?
them. Ultimately, it is for
Yeah.
them. Ultimately, it is for them. Um, but you don't want to go out with friends to you don't drink, say, but let's say you did enjoy a beer or something like that, and you went out. You wouldn't want to go to a bar with friends, and you all go in there, and suddenly you have your beers, and you sit round a table, and they all take out their phones and start texting other people who are not even around. So what's the point? What is the point of going out in that circumstance if you're not actually going to put your phone away and talk to the people who are physically there with you?
Well, that's not the case for everyone and at any time.
I, that is also true. That is all. I'll tell you a funny story. This is this is true. This happened. Um, must have been about 2019, and I was in a restaurant, and we were going out. We were leaving our table, and we could see that the people was a couple, young couple, on the next table, and the boy was sitting there doing nothing because his girlfriend, I presume it was his girlfriend, was just chatting on the phone. And that happened for about 15, 20 minutes. Anyway, so we got up and we left. And I said, as we went past the table, I said to him, looks like you're on your own tonight, doesn't it? And he laughed at me. And she said, what do you mean by that? And I looked at her, and she was sitting opposite him, but not talking to him. I mean, what does he feel like? No, it's a strange way that we've gone down. I think but it's not going to stop. It's never. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? A bit like Star Trek. In the end, we just sort of tap on our watch, and your face will come up, and we can have a quick natter, or I can order anything on that online, and then it's going to. Where's it going to end?
Well, I don't know because, well, nature behaviors like, well, I don't know, lots of stuff are becoming more and more popular. You know, self care and stuff like that is just, well, not new, but it's growing even more popular these days. And I feel like it's the same sometimes for technology. Like people are saying, um, uh, just gonna check the word because I'm not sure about it. Yeah, waves. Waves are bad for your health, and so, and some people are, you know, getting rid of their phones stuff and having more natural lifestyle. Not everyone, you know, but, well, I'm not sure. Well, of course, technology will improve and will be even more frequent in our lives, and, you know, but I feel like a lot of people are realizing that it's not the only solution and it's not maybe the best alternative. So they're trying other stuff, and don't know if you see what I mean.
I do. I understand, and I hope you're right. As I said, I use technology. It's a servant for me. It's useful for me, and that is it. But I do realise I have to keep on top and up to date of whatever is being introduced into the technological area, whether it's on my iPhone or whether it's on the Windows 7 or I'm sorry, Windows, whatever I've got now, 10. So I have to keep up to date because they change, things change. A good example of this was I was in New York in 2019. And so obviously in New York, my roaming was off. I never looked up the internet. I only used Wi-Fi when I was in the hotel. And when I got back to England, I had a really not much. I had a big charge of about £30 for data usage. I thought, no, I didn't understand that. So I phoned O2, and they said, "What's your latest? What iPhone have you got? What's your latest iOS download?" And I said, right, what they've done, and you probably don't know that, is they've introduced something called Wi-Fi Assist. Now, there's a reason for telling you this. So, and Wi-Fi assist basically means that if you're in a country like the US where you don't have data roaming, there's no roaming, you have to use the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi assist actually says even though you've turned data roaming off, Wi-Fi assist says if the local Wi-Fi connection is not strong enough, your phone will automatically divert to the local data usage, internet provider, whatever it is in that particular area. So unbeknown to me, I was actually linked to the internet and not to Wi-Fi because of this. But I didn't know that until I came back. And they kept all the they took the charge off, and I disengaged Wi-Fi assist. That's a good example about unless you keep up to date with things, you can suddenly find yourself, unbeknown to you, got this great big charge, thinking you're doing the right thing because no one tells you. Yeah, it's up to you to find out. Well, what is the latest update? What impact is that going to have on me? But that's just one example. But overall, I personally am very happy with the way that I use IT. I only use it when I need to. I look at the computer probably twice a day. I look at my phone. I have to admit, hands up, I do turn my phone on first thing in the morning. That's the first thing I do to see what any messages, but also the news, emails, all this type of stuff. And that's it. I don't use it again probably unless it's a phone. I actually do use it as a phone. I don't use it again probably till mid-afternoon. But my parents had no idea, God bless them, how to use any of this type of stuff. And certainly at the end, they did have satellite TV and blah, 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 blah. But if something went wrong, they had no idea how to fix it. They needed somebody else to help them. It wasn't a question of... so, yeah, I feel sad at the fact that people I know who are of the older generation do feel, as they say, it's not my. Their expression is "not my world anymore." That's what they often say. But you're also right, at the other end of the spectrum, there are other people who just use it non-stop to the exclusion of anybody else around them, apart from the person or persons they're chatting to at that particular time on their phone. But we need, I mean, IT, technology is wonderful. I mean, there's no question of that. And the benefits of technology in terms of medicinal advances, all this type of stuff, absolutely wonderful. So yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying we should harness it when it suits us, but not let it take over our lives. And also bear in mind we shouldn't let a whole part of society be excluded because they are not part of this technological advance. Wow. That's going to be interesting. I wonder what comments we're going to get about this.
Yeah.
if any.
But how do you think that the people that are excluded?
This is lemonade, by the way. This is lemonade.
How do you think that people that got excluded from society because of the technology did? Because, well, do you think it's like it went too fast, or it wasn't interesting at the beginning, and now that it's all set up, it's hard to master? Or how would you explain that?
I don't think it went too fast because I can go back to when first time we had a computer in the office was in the 1980s. So that's 40 years ago. I think the first mobile phone was in the 1980s as well. That was about obviously 40 years ago. So from that point of view, no, 40 years is quite a long time. So from that point of view, advances haven't been desperately quick. But unless you have daily access to it, then you're not going to, and you don't use it. Then how do you know what if you suddenly think, right, I need to buy now a computer because that is the only way forward. You buy a computer and think, oh my God, now what do I do? You don't do that. You don't buy a computer. And so they've been caught probably by thinking it would never get to the stage that it has done. I don't think it's gone too fast. I think people just did not believe it would get to this particular stage where everything is done online. And as I said, nothing. We don't use cash here. It's almost cashless now. And they just been caught out. No one's told. Even I say, if Windows 10, Windows 7 was great because you could pick and choose your updates, right? You could manually download. You can pick and choose which update you want to do. Windows 10, you have no option, as far as I'm aware. You're on the thing, and next thing you know, it suddenly says, you see the little yellow dot in the corner, and you say, right, update and shut down, or update and restart. I have no idea what I'm installing anymore on Windows Update. I can go into my control panel and see what programs I've got, and if I don't like one, I'll just uninstall it. But I have no idea really now what the computer's doing when it does its updates. Windows 7, my laptop's still on Windows 7, and basically I just download the security essentials. My phone, iOS, you can check to see what the iOS updates are, and you get the various web group chats to say the advantages and disadvantages to look at from whatever the various updates are. But but I've been on this path for 40 years. If you've never been on the path, you've never had a computer, you've never had a mobile phone, you as I said earlier on, you're still there, and society's moving up there, and you've never got on the ladder. And the ladder's getting taller and taller and taller, and you're still not even on the first step. That's the problem. Yeah. I suppose the ultimate, yeah. So I was going to say, yeah. So no, I don't think it's gone too fast. I mean, don't forget, We put a man on the moon in 1969 and brought them back. That's 50 years ago. We never sent one back again. So from that point of view, technology, in many ways, back then, we could do things then that we're not doing, or we choose not to do now, perhaps is another way of looking at it. So no, technology was quite well advanced back then as well. So yeah, it's a difficult thing for people like my friend who, and it's going to get worse. Ultimately, it's going to get. We even tried to set up an online. I'm sure it's the same in France. All the supermarkets provide online shopping, and they have free delivery over £50 orders. But you have to give your credit card details, and they won't do that. So it's going to get. It will get. Looking after someone like that will just get worse and worse. That's the wrong word. It will get more. It will take more of my time. I had to take him to the bank I had to go down and pick him up and take him to the bank the other day because he needed to sort something out because hasn't got online banking and you can't phone the bank. He has to go to the bank. There's no way. I used to be able to phone back when I started work. I don't know, let's say up to the 80s or 90s. I used to be able to phone my bank manager and speak to them about, can I sort this out? Can I do this? Nowadays, you can't speak to your branch. You go to some central number, which is your bank's national call center. You don't speak to your own branch anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much a choice because no one's telling him that it's forbidden to learn how to use these tools. But yeah, well, the thing that is a problem is the fact that there are not that much possibilities if you don't use technology to get your information or get your things done. But well, it has been done well, as you said, for limiting the expenses, but also I think for reducing the time that you're spending on it, because when it's all automatic, well, it's faster, and so it's just a time investment at the very beginning, and well, when you've mastered it, it's even faster for you because if you have to go to the bank, well, that means you have to maybe take your car, wait among other people, and then talk to the person, which maybe isn't the best person to talk to, and so it will send you someone else. But when you're on technology, and as you said, like for did you say that in the podcast or before? I don't remember. But about the FAQ, well, Q.
Yeah. FAQ, frequently asked questions.
Yeah, frequently asked questions. Well, that's a way to centralize all questions, and so you're sure that if you have the question, the answer is there. You know.
You're 100% correct, but you are talking about yourself, who has grown up with technology. From the day you were born into a world of technology, right? It's always been there for you. If you've lived, so he's 77. Let's say cut 1990 as a sort of cut-off point when technology started to go up. So let's say the last 30. So in his first 40 years, so it's only first half of his life, he's never had this technology. We have to try and put ourselves in someone like his situation. It's not the only one where they've grown up for 40 years, 50 years. This is the way they've done something. And now they're being told to do the same thing in a completely different way. Now, to me, I'm still young enough to actually say, okay, that's the way it has to be done. That's the way it has to be done. Fine, get on with it. But there are other people who are frightened. You must have heard the expression, people are frightened of technology. My father was. I kept saying to him, there's no way you can, you can break your computer. It will not break, because he was petrified. So these pop-ups, shall I do this? Just if I say, always just say, press no, whatever it says, you'll do this, press no, press no, press no. But he was petrified of things going wrong with his computer.
Well, for some reason, my connection crashed, and so our meeting crashed, and I had to restart my computer. But these are details. So the last thing I heard was about your father and how you cannot put him on computer. That's the last thing I heard.
Because and a good example of what could go wrong with someone like that was, in the end, I introduced TeamViewer. So I downloaded TeamViewer on his computer, my computer. So I oversaw whatever he did. But I also put something like malware bytes. We use malware bytes. I like malware bytes. Anyway, so I would go down, check his computer, and he's downloaded hundreds and hundreds of things he shouldn't have downloaded, because he kept pressing yes. He always pressed yes with something. Oh. But what I was trying to also went on to say was that another issue is not just ignorance of what they're doing, is fraud and people getting your bank details, etc., etc. First, what happened to me, was in France, funnily enough, in Paris. And I made the mistake. It was in a restaurant very close to the opera. And I was paying, and I made a silly mistake. And I realized afterwards I made the mistake. I gave them the credit card, and they took it away with the whatever it was, came back, gave it all to me. And then on the next few days, I suddenly saw all these additional charges coming in for something I'd never used. But I've been caught, say, 2 or 3 times like that. And that it's not nice, but it's okay. But a lot of people, like my friend, they don't want that ever to happen. They're scared of that. And it's understandable they're scared of that. So that's another reason, a big reason a lot of them don't want to do online accounts, online banking, doing anything online, giving credit card details out, whatever. I book a holiday, for example, I'm going to Germany in November, and to confirm the booking, I had to give my credit card details. So I emailed them to say, I'm happy to confirm my booking, but I'm not going to give you the credit card details by email, because I don't know how secure your site is. Right? So I said, please phone. So they phoned me, and I did it over the phone. So that is done. I don't like giving details, especially your security code, your 3 digits security code, in an email to anyone. Anyone can get it. I don't know whether they're going to delete that email once they've got it or not. So I never do that. Never do that. And that's a very big reason why people do not go and do online banking. There's another guy. There are 2 people I do online buying for on Amazon. So I buy it for them, just send it to their address, and they give me the cash, because they won't do it themselves. Now, if it wasn't for me, I presume somebody else would do it. But immediately they haven't got a computer. They don't want to do anything like that. And so it's again, it's a them and us situation.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to learn some random stuff about technology and how it can be used, but this is not the only way to get the information. Like, I heard about a chip that you put on under the base where you enter your code when you pay with your credit card, and it gets all the informations, even though your code and stuff, it's all ready to use. And well, that's crazy. Those are crazy stuff. But so
Great.
yeah,
100%. Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah. If I need cash, I go to the bank. But I only use the cash machine inside the bank. I never use the one outside the bank. So for that, I have to be careful like that. But no, it's yeah. I'm very happy with the way, personally, society and the way it is suits me perfectly. I'm very happy with technology. I'm very happy to use technology. It's part of it's exciting. I mean, look what we're doing now. I'm speaking to you somewhere in the middle of France or wherever you happen to be now, and hundreds and hundreds of kilometers away from each other, quite happily. And we can see each other quite happily. That is fantastic. So I'm happy to use technology, but long as I know it has its place, doesn't overtake my life or become too much a part of my life. It's a useful tool. It's fun. I don't play games on the computer, anything like that. And have, yeah, I won't go into that. But yeah, it's no, I like it, but we definitely have excluded a large, not a large part, becoming a smaller part, obviously, of society because of it.
Yeah. Well,
Do your parents use the computer all the time?
all the time, I
Or
would not say that.
do they
But
do online banking? Do they do online
yeah.
shopping?
Well, not often, but sometimes, I think. Yeah. But, you've said about growing up with this and being excluded from that. But I'd say, well, it's not that simple because it can be compared to language learning. You know, like I've made the choice to learn English so that it's easier to communicate with other people. Life is simply more simple. Yeah, and
Simpler,
simpler. All
simpler,
right,
simpler, simpler.
and it offers new opportunities. And if I have a problem, well, there's lots of way to find an answer if you're an English speaker or only if you understand a bit of English. But I haven't been growing up with English. Well, even though you have English at school, well, that's not where I made my most of my progression. It was more on, well, in fact, on technology when I was talking with other people on games, on online games, and watching videos in English. But it's I made the choice to learn it, and so these peoples can make the choice to adapt to technology and learn it. Well, maybe that's not the exact same thing because I wouldn't have been in so many issues if I haven't been learning English. But that's a choice that you can make. That's an insane amount of time that it's invested in this.
But you are in, yes, but you are in your teens and your 20s. These people are in their
Yeah.
70s.
Well,
That's a big difference.
I'm not so sure, to be honest. I've read about this, and some studies have shown that well, it's not significantly easier to learn when you're a kid. It's like, well, almost an excuse behind what to hide when you're a bit older to not learn something new. But well, you can. Maybe it will take more time, but you can. You still
It's
can.
fear. It's fear. It's fear of the
Yeah.
unknown. That is their issue. That's all it is. It's fear because it's quite, as you know, it's quite easy to you get your computer used to, and it does everything for you. For example, my TV media box crashed the other month. All the screen, the pictures became all just basically red. All the colour was blurred with red. So they sent me a new box. Oh God, here we go. This is going to be. And I just plugged it in, and it said, right, welcome, blah blah blah. Do this, yeah, do this, do that, and it works. I mean, it's very simple. The thought of it is a bit scary. I think, is this going to work? Is it all going to crash down? But it was so simple. But it's the fear of the unknown, definitely. I've seen it in this guy I'm talking about all the time. He's very scared of, and he keeps on about it, giving his credit card details to people he wants, even though he can't go about his daily life in the way he used to, because the shops aren't there anymore. He still won't do it. I say the shops aren't there anymore because in my local high street, I don't know how do you have the expression high street? in France. The
Mm,
main street in the town. We call it the main road in the town. Anyway, we call it the High Street.
okay.
And all the old shops have gone. They've all gone. They've all closed down. There was an article today about there's an average of 50 shops in England's high streets that close every month, gone out of business because people are using Amazon and all these other ones. So our high street is now all, which is nice for me. It's all restaurants and bars and nice coffee shops and all these type of good places, interesting places. But there are no shops anymore. So if you want to buy a replacement for something for your car, let's say you need a car accessory. There used to be a shop I used to get to buy something to clean the car or something to cover your steering wheel. That's gone. Again, the shop name exists, but only online. So even if he wanted to, even if he was fully fit and he walked out, he couldn't go anywhere to buy whatever he wants to do. He has to buy it online. There's no choice. There is no choice anymore. You have to buy it online. You have to do your holidays online. If you want to go to a restaurant, I'm sure it's the same in France. You could phone up, but basically you like, well, let's do. I did it today. I'm going to London on Thursday. I wanted to find this particular restaurant in this particular area and found it. He says book a table online. So I booked a table online. Easy done. That's it. I've got the email confirmation. That's all I have to do. But it's simple. But unless you've got the technology, you can't do that. How's he going to find out what restaurants are in that area? He hasn't got the internet. You can't. They can't do it. There's no way unless you're going to book the London's restaurants in this particular. I don't know. It's no. It's don't get me wrong. Please don't get me wrong. I think technology is wonderful. I think how it's progressed, as I say, on things like medicine, technological advances, the fact you and I can talk to each other, I can book anything I want, I can stay at home all every day of my life if I wanted to, and everything can be delivered to me. I never have to walk out of my house ever again. If that was the case, so I think that's absolutely wonderful. But we mustn't forget those people who are in a less fortunate situation at that end of the scale, the elderly generation or those who do not have the access, either deliberately or because they can't afford it, which is possible. I mean, it's quite expensive if you think about it to do all this. And also from the other point of view, those who have let it take over their lives. I think that's equally as sad a situation that I can observe as I go around my daily life.
Yeah, but somehow, well, it's not. Maybe it's just a choice of investment because it's not more expensive. Because if you receive everything at home, you don't have to have a car to get through this. So if you don't have car, well, that's a lot of money saved that you can invest on a computer to buy things. Well, a car is more useful on daily life, but you know
Okay,
what I mean.
I'll give you. Okay, I'll give you an example. I just checked on this because the national pension in the UK at the moment is 100, let's say £200 a month, right? A week. £200 a week. Yeah. Heart keep getting. So £800 a month you're paying on. You got a pension, so you have to pay your gas, electricity, blah 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 blah. I pay for my internet connection. I pay £32 a month for my internet. I pay £15 a month for my phone. Okay, so that's already almost £50. That's over 10% of your income gone before you start, without thinking about gas, electricity, food, car, insurances, all this type of stuff. If you've got no other income coming in, you've got no private pension or whatever, it's expensive. Not for me, and that's not meant to be okay. but it isn't. So I'm lucky. It's not expensive for me. It's okay. But for some people who are living just on the state pension, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, but well, having a car. Well, I don't say a car is only useful when you gotta buy something, but having a car is probably more expensive because you have the fuel, the insurance, all the, you gotta take care of it. So if there's any trouble, anything to change or so, that's an investment too. So well, I don't say that if you have a computer, you don't need a car. That's not what I'm saying. But it offers you the choice between those two. You know? You get my point?
Yeah, but again, what's the alternative of? Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. So basically, you're saying get rid of the car, stay at home. That saves you the money on the car, and just do everything online and get everything delivered to you.
That's an option. I'm not saying that you should do this or anyone should do this, but I'd say that technology offers this option.
It does. Again, that's expensive here because you have to have a minimum for the supermarket anyway
Yeah.
of £50. And £50, again, if you're only getting, did I say £800, whatever that is, 6 six. Yeah, my maths is gone. But that's quite an expensive thing. It's what is it, 6%, something like that. 6%, 7% of your income has gone just on getting food. And if you need it every week, the alternative of a car, of course, is to use public transport. But if you're going to, I can't use public transport here to go to the supermarket because I have no bus coming near my house. There's a bus on the main road, but it doesn't come up to my house. But it all adds up, and it's not. And yeah, it is for people, as I said, who've got no other income coming through. It's a big another expense they have to have.
Yeah.
And what benefit? So difficult. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but I think we have to also remember there are people who actually do only live on a national pension.
Hmm.
There's no company scheme. So
Yeah, but this
yeah,
is, I'd say this is another problem because this is not, the problem isn't technology, it's the the amount of income that you have, I mean, poverty, is it the word?
yeah, breadline we say.
All right.
Breadline is the expression. All you've got is your national pension. Um, it's not technology fault. I agree with that. But again, what I was trying to say is, excuse me, is that because they're in that situation, they can't have an internet, they can't have the computer, they may have a mobile phone because £10, what did I say? What, £15? That's probably acceptable. So, not due to any fault of their own, they cannot access the computer because they can't afford one.
Yeah.
And if you can't afford one, how do you get on in society these days with, as I said, everything's online?
Yeah, but the problem then comes from society that is making people that don't have enough money to live comfortably, making it even harder because of the technology.
Exactly. That's exactly what I've been
Yeah.
trying to say. So you eventually you agree with me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's definitely right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think exactly right. Exactly right. And it's a big it's a big expense. Very
Hmm.
big expense. And gas and electricity is definitely not cheap these days. And the government doesn't help. Government doesn't help anything, especially over here. Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, you were talking about the fear of technology, but well, I'd say that, well, we all have fears, and well, that's human, but you don't have to live with that fear. You can overcome it. It's just a matter of choice and of work, at least. But
It's not a fear of technology itself. It's the fear that it's being afraid that they don't understand something.
yeah, but
And
the
if you
problem
don't,
there,
and if you don't understand something, you make a mistake and something goes wrong, and someone accesses your information, or you make a wrong purchase, or you download something and you get a virus on your computer, and someone suddenly infiltrates all your information. That's what they're worried about. If you don't understand, the fear of the unknown has been in the human race since in the Stone Age, the Neolithic times. We've always been frightened of the unknown. And if we saw something back then like a lightning and thunderstorm, they thought, well, the only way to explain that was the gods are not very happy. They have to explain. So if you're trying to see what I'm saying, if you don't know something, you're frightened of it. You have to put some sort of meaning to it. But it's what's going on with my lights? Yeah, that is the thing. It's not technology itself. It's the fact they don't understand it. If you don't understand something, then mankind has traditionally been a little bit wary, scared, apprehensive. Apprehensive. That's a good word.
yeah,
It's not
that's
technology itself. It's just the fear of the unknown.
yeah, that's right. But the problem is just that you don't understand something or you don't have any information about it. But as everything that you don't know, and well, there's data about it, well, you can learn it. If there's data about it,
Yes,
tutorials or so.
exactly. Yeah, I can go around. I go around to my friend's house and I show him exactly what I've done. If something's gone wrong with his iPad, this is what's gone wrong. This is what you have to do. And he looks at me and he has no idea what even though I'm trying to explain it, he has no real idea. And I thought, oh, there's no point. And I wouldn't want him to go on to that on his own, apart from emails. He just uses emails and Facebook. Apart from that, because I don't know what he would do. He would download things that he shouldn't. And on mine, it's difficult on an iPad, but it's difficult. He would download stuff that or access stuff that he shouldn't be there. And I wouldn't want him to actually do anything now outside of just doing emails and his Facebook, and just leave the rest to me. If it goes wrong, give me a ring. I'll go around. There's only 5 minutes away. Sort it out for him and can come home again. Yeah. So I think I think basically we're saying the same thing. It's not technology itself that is the problem. It's the way that certain parts of society have not wanted to embrace it because they're frightened of it. Other parts have embraced it to the point that it's overtaken their lives. As all they do now is just go onto social media and chat and blah blah blah. And also, as I said, people who basically it's beyond them in the terms of they've only got a national pension coming through. They can't afford to go online. They can't afford the computer, and a computer is I don't know how much a computer costs these days. To be honest, I mean it's not that cheap. If you only got £800 a month coming in, and you have all your other expenses, food, etc., to live in, it's a luxury they won't buy. They can't afford it. So no, I think we both agree that technology is wonderful. It depends how it's harnessed, how it's used, and it hasn't embraced, whether that's a government thing or whether it's a company like Microsoft or Apple or whatever, to have fixed, I don't know, but you've definitely left some people behind, and some people have left the rest of society behind by just doing, as you said, all they do is look at their phone. I'm a fan. I am a total fan. I find it absolutely fascinating. I can fix, if something goes wrong with my computer, I can fix it quite happily, no problem at all. If something goes wrong with my iPad phone, which it hardly ever does, but sometimes it does, I Google, find out this is what the issue is. You go into the chat room, this is the issue, this is sorted out, this is what you do, sort it out. easy. I like doing it, and I find it interesting as well about how everything works and how everything interconnects. I find it fascinating, but perhaps other people are different.
Mm.
So unless you have that desire to keep on top of things, then they're going to get left behind. And this is what's happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Your language thing is a very good analogy as well. When I lived in Japan for 5 years.
Okay.
I told you that many times. You've probably forgotten. You're freezing again. Are you there?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, fine. I when I went to Japan, they were the best years of my life. I really enjoyed that, and I learnt Japanese, and I learnt to speak it, and I learnt to read. So I learnt the characters, etc. By doing that, I got so much more out of my time in Japan than all the other expatriate foreigners did, because if you stay in the big cities in Japan, all the signs are in Japanese characters and English. So you can get on the subway and you know where the train's going, because there's a sign in English saying this is the station Omotesando, the next one is Aoyama or something like that, and it says it, so you know exactly which, and it has an arrow, so even really stupid, you know that is the way you're going to go. Once you're out of the big, that's all the big cities in Japan, but once you're out of those, English is not spoken. There's nothing anywhere in English unless you speak or read Japanese. You're not going to get around, and they're not going to speak Japanese English to you in the middle of nowhere. So I got so much, as you were saying, you've enhanced the way you think your life is by speaking English and communicating in English. That made my stay in Japan absolutely fantastic. I used to go to all the local onsen, the ryokan, the inns, and all this type of stuff. Speak Japanese, know what I'm ordering in food, which is useful sometimes, especially when it starts crawling around on your plate. You want to know what you're eating. Fascinating, loved it. I went to places in the middle of nowhere and had a fantastic time, all because I learned Japanese. If I spoke English, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I just spoke English, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So yes, it's the same, as you said, if people make an effort, fine, but you have to have I had no choice, actually, thinking about it, because I was in Japan. Well, I did have a choice. I could just say, right, I'll just lead the expatriate life and forget I could be anywhere. Same time, I could have been in any city of the world leading an expatriate life. I could have been in London, Paris, or Sydney, or wherever it was. But if I wanted to actually lead a life and try and find out what the culture was really like inside Japan, that was the only way to do it. Loved it. I thought it was a great place. Best time of my life. Yeah. I was very lucky. I've lived in 3 cities in overseas cities in my life: Sydney, Zurich, and Tokyo. And Tokyo was by far the best of the 3, by far. Lovely people as well. So if anyone's looking, Japan is a great place to visit. Very expensive though. But that, I know we're slightly digressing, but it's similar to what you said, that if you really sit down and say, right, I want to learn this because it's going to enhance my life, it can be done. But there again, when I was in Japan, I was in my 30s. So then it was, you're still in your 30s, you're still learning. Even at work, you're still learning. In fact, I was still learning by the time I finished. So you're always learning, even as you go through life, as you know. But in your 30s, I don't know why it's easier to, I don't know why, perhaps there's some biological reason why it's easier to learn new things in your 30s and your 20s than it is in your 50s and your 60s or your 70s. I don't know. But you're right. I thought that what you said about language there was absolutely right. If you actually really want to and put your mind to it, you can sit down and learn something new. It enhances your life, no question.
Mm. But yeah, even
So
though
what's the next?
even though it's harder when you get older, well, it's even harder for some people of my age, because if you look at school, we don't study the same time on the same topic. Some people need twice or even more as many time as I do to learn something. Is it an excuse? I don't think so. If you want to learn something, even though it's super hard, if you want it, well, it will take time, it will take hard work, but if you want to learn or need to learn, well, I'm pretty sure you can do it, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if you really want to understand something, going back to school days, you get taught in the classroom and you have things, and you got your hour lesson or your 45-minute lesson, whatever it's going to be. I forget now. And they teach you something. You can either say, right, you don't fully understand something. You have two choices. You either go and speak to your teacher afterwards and say, I didn't understand that. Can you explain? Blah, blah, blah. Or you read up about it more when you get home. Or if you're not interested, you forget about it, which is, as you say, a lot of people just go, okay, I'm not interested in that. So, but if you really put your mind to it and want to learn, yes, you sit down and you read around the subject, you find out as much and more about it as you possibly can. And that's the way to do it. But you have to work at it.
Yeah.
Nothing comes easily or freely in life. You have to work for it, unless you're part of the royal family. Sorry, I didn't mean that. Didn't mean that. Whoops. I hope this is not being recorded.
What it is.
Yeah, I know. The royal family, our royal family won't hear that, so I'll be safe. Yeah.
So yeah, we ended up agreeing on this. All right.
I think so. I think so. It's life is one of the things I've always said to people is in life you go from A to Z. Right?
Can you repeat?
In life you go from A to Z.
All right.
A is when you're born and Z is when you die. Perhaps A and Z is pronounced differently in French, R and Z or something like that. But some people get from A to Z in a straight line, and some go zigzagging around. But you always start in A and you always end in Z. It's a question of how you get from one to the other. If you know what you want to do, you go in a straight line. If you never know what you want to do and you have nothing in your brain about what you go sort of here, there, and back, and eventually you end up in Z. But depends how you can take a long way round to get there. That is life, and those who go in a straight line are those who know what they want to do and how to do it. Two things: you know what you want to do and how to do it. I know we're digressing now a bit, but that I don't know how we got onto this particular subject. That is how those people lead their lives. They know what. I know, because you were talking about if you want to do something, do it. That is how they lead their lives. That's why they go in a straight line, because they know exactly where they want to go. It's like shooting a rocket to the moon. It should go in a straight line. If something goes wrong, it starts going all around, and goes around the moon and comes. So that's what I'm trying to say. If you know what you want to do and work at it, you go in a straight line, and life is generally, I don't mean easier, but straightforward.
Yeah.
Because you know what you want to do. And if you don't know what you want to do, or you know what you want to do, but you're not willing to work at it, then you may go there, then suddenly you hit a wall. You have to go there, and then you may have to go up there. But anyway, so that's what I'm trying to say. You have to work at it.
Yeah.
A bit like IT. We're talking about IT. It's the same in life. You have to work at it. You agree?
Yeah, for sure. Mm.
So what do you think? What do you think you are? You think
Uh,
are you going in a straight line?
no, naturally. I'm the zigzagging guy, pretty sure.
The zigzagging guy. Okay. Yeah.
Huh.
No, that's pretty much a straight line, but I was um, I was lucky in the sense that every time I felt something wasn't going the way I wanted it to go, I was offered an opportunity to do something else within the same company. I only changed, I know we're digressing a lot now. I only changed employer once in my entire working life. I won't tell you how many years I worked, but I worked quite a long time. And the only reason I left my first company was they were taken over by another company, and I did not want to be part of the new organization. So I left. But I was only ever worked for two companies. And that's, I think, that looks good on your CV. If you look at someone's CV and they're applying for your job, not your job, a job in your company, and you look at their CV and they've been there for a year, and they've been there for 2 years, they've been there for 18 months, immediately the alarm bells start ringing in your head that they're not certain yet about what they really want to do, or there's been an issue with them at the company they've been at. If you look at a CV and they've been somewhere for 5 years, for 10 years, or whatever, you look upon them differently because they know they give the impression of consistency in their life. They know what they want to do. They were happy with that. There's a new position coming up, sure, but they want to go for that. For betterment, but goes back to this A to Z thing, zigzagging or whatever. I went luckily more or less in that direction, which was, and it is luck, to be honest.
Yeah,
A lot of
but
luck, lot of luck in life. It's difficult to say. There's a lot of luck in life, and being in the right place at the right time.
yeah, that's definitely sure. Luck is a real part of life and can really make the difference.
Yeah, because there are far more intelligent people than me who didn't have a job, or they weren't lucky enough to have the same type of job I was, because I happened to be in the right place at the right time to get into that particular, or to get to know somebody who then subsequently gave me the position. So that's the way it goes. And you can't plan for that. Well, I suppose you can. That's not true. You can, if you are really, really clever, you can decide, right, he or she is, I think they are the ones that are going to be the next superstar in the company. So if I get close to them, then perhaps they can drag me with them as they go up. So there
Yeah,
is that, the political game. So there is that way of doing it. I never did that, to be honest, but there you go.
yeah, but even though you can pretty much um, see it coming, there's no guarantee that it will work the way you'll try to approach that people are. So yeah, there's still
That's
like,
true. But if we don't, but that is true. But if it doesn't work, then hopefully, if they are as good as you say or you think they will be, and they don't get the right job, they may move somewhere else. They'll take you with them.
yeah,
I when my company was taken over by this other company, I within 1 week I didn't approach them; they approached me, and I took my whole, because I was manager of a department. Took my whole department with me. The whole department went. I said to the big boss in my old company, I said, if you can guarantee to me that all of us in my department will still have a job after the consolidation, then I'll stay. And he said he couldn't do that. So we left and never looked back. It was a great move, fantastic move. But that's the way it was. I didn't plan it. I had no idea it was going to happen. I didn't plan it. That's just the way that's just the way it worked.
hmm.
Yeah. But going back to IT, I was of the generation, by the time the late 80s, 90s came along, we had within the department people who were joining from school, joining from university. They were the ones who used the computer. They were the ones who ran all the software programs, blah, 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 blah. I didn't. I saw the results. I could read what they gave me. I knew what it all meant. I could say to them, right, I don't like that. Would you about that? Change that index, or change that multiplication, whatever it was. So you have to know what they're doing. But I never actually ran all the. I could use a computer, obviously, but I never ran the software programs. Well, that wasn't my role. And in the end, now technology runs offices. My company is basically, whereas going back to 70s, 80s, 90s, business was face to face and meeting people, doing deals, and blah blah. Everything now is on. You never leave your office. I can speak to you. I can speak to my office in New York or Hong Kong or wherever it is on the that. I can work at home. I have access to all my mainframe at home. It's absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. But you do actually. It's become less face-to-face and relationship-driven business. It's more. It's technology driven. I won't tell you what my business was, but my business was, if you wanted to, it's basically insurance broking. So if you wanted to sell me or get me to underwrite, accept some business, you'd come to me and you'd talk to me face to face. You'd explain it to me, and I say, yeah, okay, blah blah blah. I'll change this. I'll change that. I'll do it that way. I mean, come to an agreement. These days, that never happens anymore. It's all done on electronic trading, we call it. So somebody flashes up to say there's a new deal from AXA in France. AXA insurance company want to do this particular deal. So, okay, right, go into there, see what it is. It's some plant in Lyon or something like that, petrochemical plant in Lyon. They want insured, blah, 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 blah. So you go in there, you look at all the details, and you say, okay, I like that. And then you just press a few buttons, accept it, and that's it. The deal's done. All your accounts are sent then directly to the accounts department. Everything's done. There's no face-to-face communication. Whether that's a good thing, I have no idea. I don't know. That's the one way IT, certainly in my professions, it dominates the world, the financial world these days. It's not just in my business, but banking, international banking, stocks, shares, securities, any trading company, it's all done online. No face-to-face anymore. But if that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. I tend to think it's a good thing.
Well, I'd say it depends on what what job, and well, maybe in your case, seeing the people in front of you would have shown maybe, I don't know, lack of confidence in their words or so, whereas behind a keyboard, well, if you can write pretty easily and use sophisticated words, I mean, it would work to convince someone, because when you're face to face, that's different. There's body language, there's how your voice sounds, and sometimes that's important.
Exactly. When they're not exactly telling you everything they should be telling you, and they're holding something back. Come on, I'm not saying they're not telling the truth, but they're not saying exactly everything. So you just ask questions and it all comes out. So yeah, I enjoyed the face-to-face because you did have good relationships, and not just with a broker, but with an insurance company. With AXA, a good example. SCOR, SCOR, French company. We have good relationship with them. And if something went wrong, like it went wrong horribly in 2001 with the World Trade Center loss, if you have the relationship with a company, you'll stay with them, they will stay with you, and you get your payback. Your losses eventually over a number of years return to you. That is the idea of doing business. And so relationships are very important, but were very important. But now that's becoming less and less because of technology. But you could also argue that relationships are becoming less and less because companies, particularly in my world, the insurance world, are getting bigger and bigger. AXA are a good example. They used to have companies in France, AGF, they've disappeared. Can't remember, SFAFC, a credit company in France, Mutual Electrique, they disappeared. So there are a lot of French companies that all disappeared and become a multi-conglomerate company like AXA are the classic example. And it's the same in many other companies, Allianz in Germany. So they don't need day-to-day, face-to-face relationships with a company such as mine. They only want to insure the top-heavy risk against flood, earthquake, whatever it is. So they can do that online by technology. That's the way it's gone. It's a good analogy, actually, because that's the same way that small businesses like banking, day-to-day banking has gone. I don't know what it's like in France, but local bank branches are all closing here. My local bank in my town here is closed 2 years ago. So the next nearest one now is in the next town, which I don't know, is 10 minutes by car, 15 minutes by car. That's closing at the end of this year because no one goes in to a bank anymore. No one like me goes into a bank anymore. So they're not there. They don't need the face-to-face. It's all done online. Some central thing. It's funny. Online banking is really funny in a way that you've got your bank account, but you don't actually. It's on a screen. And you think, you never actually see it. It's just there. There's an amount next to it. You think, oh, that's mine. That's great, but you don't actually physically have the feeling of owning it. It's just on a screen. It's a really strange sensation. Yeah, but that's the way. It's just the same with shops and banks closing. Everything's closing. You have no choice but to do online.
Yeah, especially this year's with the pandemic, which was something that drew everyone to online stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, Amazon here, I've been past some of their warehouses. They are huge. I mean, huge, bigger than football stadia and all this type of stuff. And they're building more. They're employing more people, etc., etc. That's the way it is. I don't get. Yeah. I just had 2 things delivered today on Amazon. My friend had one delivered today that I ordered for him online because he couldn't do it himself. He had that delivered today. He's got another one tomorrow. And that's really stupid. And that's a funny one. Let me digress a bit. His wife wanted a particular type of soap.
Yeah.
Soap.
Yeah.
And also towel. Yeah. And you can't buy it in the shops anymore. You can only buy. You can't. So you have to buy it online. There's no other way of doing it. You can't do it unless you go to London. You may find it in Harrods or Selfridges or some big department store, but not in my local town. The chemist doesn't sell it, so you have to buy it online.
This is crazy. Well,
yes,
I think this is different from France, definitely, because we can get this it's like 2 kilometers away or maybe 1 from here. And well, because there's a supermarket that have been built recently, but then it was like, let's say 6 kilometers away before this one was built. So this is just crazy. That's you don't have this kind of material near your home, and you have to
No,
take
great.
it online. That's crazy.
Sometimes um, I buy shampoo, hair
Yeah.
shampoo online because I can't get it in the shops, the one I want. I buy toothpaste
Okay.
online because it's not in my local shop anymore, or the supermarket. They only have their own brand, or they may have their own brand, or they may have a few other brands, which is only their own brand. Um, yeah, I buy herbs for cooking, like well, I mean things like basil, tarragon, garlic, herbs and spices for cooking.
All right.
You can't get those in the. You can get the own brand, the supermarket own brand, Tesco own brand, or Sainsbury's own brand. But I don't want that. I want this particular brand, and I have to
Oh.
buy that online now. Amazon have a Amazon grocery, whatever it is now they've set up just for that. So yeah, I mean, even I buy some of the stuff, which is crazy. I have to buy shampoo and soap. No, I don't buy soap. Shampoo and toothpaste online because I can't get it in the shop. I can get toothpaste in the shop, but not the one I want.
Oh.
It's all own brand.
Okay.
That. But France and the UK are very good comparison. In my field years ago, it may be different now, but look at car insurance in France. How does your family buy car insurance?
Don't have any idea, to be honest.
In the old days, I mean, I'm not that long ago, they would do with the local broker. Most of them, I'm not sure it's changed now. Most of the car insurance was done by the company, AXA or whatever it was, local agent. A lot of it's agency work or broker work. In the UK, 100%, not 100%, 90% of motor insurance, house insurance is done online.
Okay.
Netherlands is the only other country that had the so we are very, very far down the line of everything is done online. Everything is done online. Holidays, restaurants, everything is done online because you can't speak to anyone. I'm sure it's the same. After this conversation, I will look at that. How much is? Actually, I'll Google it now. I'll Google it now. I'll be interested to see how much of that has changed. Car insurance in France. This can be done online or by post. We don't do post. We never have post. Interesting. I will find that out. It'll be interesting to see in France what's changed. Interesting you do it by post because you have agents. A lot of local agents. I'm sure there's an AXA insurance company agent in your town.
In my town, not sure. Well, this is a small town as well.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
yeah,
even though today I had to meet my boss to sign contract for
yeah,
the following year, and
yeah.
he told me that I was the only one that had papers. All other one was on online contracts. So yeah, that's another example of this.
Yeah.
Everything's
Okay.
being online.
Yeah. Which is fine, but do you know where? Yeah, the question of where the data is stored, data privacy, and all this type of stuff, and they have all your details. A number of times you read about websites being accessed. What's the word I'm looking for? By
The
there's a
cookies.
particular word. No, someone's infiltrated and got all the data out of the website. Adobe had it recently, for example. So someone hacked.
Data
Someone's
breach.
hacked. Yeah. Data breach. So yeah, that is an issue. It is a worry. But it
Yeah.
happened. It's never, touch wood. It's never happened to me, but it's happened to other banks in this country. big data breach. People have hacked.
Mm.
It must be worrying if that happens.
That's
It can
right.
happen either way. My friend, the same friend we keep coming back to, no one knows, he does nothing online, and yet his national pension suddenly stopped, and he went to the bank. I drove him there because he can't walk. I drove him, and he went in, and he found he basically found out that somebody had changed the address to which the pension should be sent.
Whoa.
And he does nothing online. So no one can understand how this could have happened. So even if you don't do stuff online, something can happen like that. Anyway, it's all been resolved, and no one got his pension while he didn't get it. So even if you're not online, it can be done. I suppose what happened is that somebody in the bank or the pension scheme just went into the system and just changed an address on the computer. I don't know. Scary.
Yeah, online isn't the only issue that you can have with your data. Yeah, well, they can take it from while you're home if they get into your home, or
Yeah.
well, this is not well. Of course, there are issues with it, but if you don't use online logging or so, you're not immune to this. So yeah,
No,
as you
exactly.
said.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of interesting and funny examples of how you can be um, targeted by people um, for theft, household theft, burglary, car theft, or whatever. I mean, good example happened. This is before we were digressing, but when I lived in Japan, my parents came to visit me, and they had a dog, and they put the dog in we call it a kennel. So when they're away, the dog is looked after by
Okay.
somebody. And the first night they were away, their house was broken into, and the police traced it to the dog kennel because somebody there got their address and said, right, they're away, therefore the dog is in the kennel, therefore they're away, therefore the house is empty. And then they told that type of thing. Another thing is the class. I never do it anymore, but it makes sense. But another one was if you go traveling, you have a suitcase, you have a luggage label with your name and address. That's a disaster. If you put your address on your luggage label, then people at the airport or wherever, oh, Timothy, yeah, he's not at home. He's traveling. Therefore, there's nobody at home. So yeah, if you're at an airport, you put your luggage label, you put Timothy, and this is my address. Then all they say, okay, let's take a photocopy of that, go to his house. He's not going to be there because he's on a plane. So
Mm.
there are various ways. It's not just online that people can actually target you. So you've always got to be careful about what you do. I just put my home phone number now. That's all I do. You've really got to be careful all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I mean, even going away on a road trip in your own country. If I go away for a weekend and I'm in my car, someone can access. Okay, this is my car registration number. I don't know how they can hack into the system and work out this is where he lives. His car's here. Obviously, he can't be at home.
That's right.
So you're going to be all the time. You have to be really, really careful. Yeah, but we're changing the subject
Mm.
slightly, not
Yeah.
much, slightly. Just a question of whether you are a target of computer crime or other crime. Doesn't have to be online. It can
Mm.
be ordinary way of life. Yeah.
Well, Whoa, we've been recording for like almost 2 hours, to be honest. So
Yes,
yeah,
with a break, because your
with a little
connection.
break. Yeah,
Are you going to edit? Are you going to manage to
yeah,
edit
of
the two
course.
together?
Yeah,
Oh, that'd
yeah,
be
of course.
okay. Cool.
Well, if my computer had crashed and shut down, well, I wouldn't have been able to get the clips, but it was only the connection, so I could stop the recording and then restart my computer. So there's no problem with the file; it's not corrupted, also. So yeah, there's no problem. I'll edit this.
Cool. Okay. It was good fun. Enjoyed that.
Hmm.
We should think of another subject sometime.
Yeah, definitely. And so,
Yeah.
is there anything else you want to talk about or say or ask? I don't know.
Well, now, um, say or ask. Not really, no, because I mean, you and I know each other very well because we email each other we know what's going on in our lives. Um, my life at the moment is after having a really good life until 2020 when it all started crashing and doing
Hmm.
nothing. I'm starting to go out again and I'm enjoying life. As you know, I've been on a cruise last week, sent you lots of photos. The interesting thing there, and whether you've read it, did you read my Word document I attached to my email?
The last one you sent me? No,
Yeah.
no, not already.
Then why people did I send him a Word document if he doesn't read it? Anyway. Anyway, the Word document basically explained my thoughts and what was going on. And it's an interesting, this is a whole new subject. It's interesting that there are many, many people of all generations now. I'm not talking now just about the elderly. And me, to a certain extent, after a year, no more than a year, 18 months, 16 months of being forced to stay at home, not meet people, you actually, in many ways, become, without knowing it, you become quite secure and safe in your own environment.
Hmm.
I'm in my house. No one comes into my house. I don't go out apart from going shopping. I have to socially distance. I have a mask. I'm safe. Now everything's opened up again. I've got to go out into the big outside world where the virus still is,
Hmm.
even though I've got 2 vaccinations. Suddenly I'm out there again, and even though whatever immunity I've got with the 2 vaccines, I don't know, I am actually now once more exposed to the potential of the virus. And even if I get the virus, in theory, I should not have to go to hospital. It should be just like having a cold, etc. But going from the position of being secure at home and safe to actually now going out again is actually quite scary.
Hmm.
And I said, once you eventually get to read my Word document, I actually said at the start, I was apprehensive about going on that holiday for that very reason. But I was very pleased I did. And I got another one coming up in 3 weeks' time. I'm off again in 2 weeks somewhere else. So I'm beginning to do all that again, go to Germany in November. So, but it's another interesting. So interesting to see how many people that you know of your generation, of different generations, actually feel the same way. That you've been locked down for so long, and now you've been protected from what's been going on in the outside world. To now you can go out, and not you have to go out again. You don't have to go out, but you're now going out again into the big outside world where this virus is still there, still there. It's quite scary. Scary is too big a word. It's quite concerning.
Hmm.
because you're exposed to it. You haven't been exposed to it. You're now exposed to it, and that's a whole new subject as well. And the mental stress that's been put on a lot, and it's been documented here very, very well. There's a lot of mental health issues here with people going from the lockdown situation back into where we were before. Because here, I'm not sure what it's like in France. We don't have to wear masks anymore. People are going back to work. You go to the pubs now. You don't have to wear masks. You go up to the bar. You don't have to table service only. You can stand. Football matches are now everyone can go to again. All the stadiums are full. 50, 60,000 people watching football matches. It's back to what it was. We have something here called a motorway called the M25, like your Périphérique in Paris. You know, the road that goes around Paris, and it's called the M25 is called the biggest car park in Europe because nothing ever moves. There's so many cars on it. It's the circular road around London. So many cars on it. There's so much traffic. It never moves. You're always stopped. You stop and you start and you stop and you start and you start. But in the lockdown, it was fantastic. You could just go around and there's nothing on the road. It was absolutely. But now it's back to what it was. I used it the other day. It took me to go 20 miles, what's that, 30 kilometers. Took me on a motorway, took me 2 hours. I could cycle it in less than that. So that's where we are getting back to that stage now where everything is now returning to normal, whatever that means. But mentally, it's a big step. This holiday I just went on was a big step for me. And it was, but I'm glad I did it. Because I'm now looking forward to doing the next one, which is only in the 1st of October. So that's only 3 weeks away. So got that coming up as well. So yeah, something else we can talk. Well, once you read eventually you can read my Word document. If you can open Word on your computer, I presume you can.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. Okay, fine. So what's life got in store for you for this week? You busy?
I'm gonna paint my bedroom, and yeah, this is gonna change.
What
All
color?
this is gonna change. Oh, that's a secret for now. This is gonna be weird. I gotta say, this is gonna be weird. And
What, psychedelic? Lots of colors.
no, but there are gonna be multiple colors and agents in a weird way. But you'll understand. I'm gonna tell you when it's done and explain it. I'm gonna show you a video. All right?
Okay. All right. Okay. And that is your plan for the week.
Yeah, that's gonna take maybe 2 days, and I'm gonna move a bit of stuff. My desk will change. Will not be here anymore. Well, a lot of things will change in my bedroom, and that'll take some time. And I'll still take time to make videos and stuff like this. You know how I am.
That's your life.
That's my life.
How many channels do you have?
4. Yeah.
4 channels. Which channel is this going to be broadcast?
What?
This podcast. Which channel is this podcast on?
It's on my podcast channel.
A podcast channel.
Yeah.
I will look at it later. You have to send me the link.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Nice talking to you.
Yeah.
And what's the time in France now? 11 o'clock. Yeah,
it's 11.
11 o'clock. Okay, my friend. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, nice.
Have a good week and have a good evening. And I look forward to seeing the podcast and be interested to see what comments are made.
All right.
Do people make many comments on podcasts?
Not that much, to be honest.
Good. Good. Okay, perfect. Okay, my friend. Nice talking to you. how do we? I'll press leave. I will say goodbye. Au
Yeah.
revoir. À
All right.
bientôt. Bye.
Goodbye. Thanks for this.